Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking a bit about when planning turns into procrastinating. I'm Julia, I'm a final year PhD student who studies neuroscience, and if you've watched any of my videos on this channel, you will know that I am a self-confessed lover of planning. I plan pretty much everything that I do, from work for my PhD to work in my actual science communication job now, to work that I do on science communication on this channel and on other channels as well, to my downtime. I plan when I exercise, I plan when I sleep. Honestly, planning is something that really helps me to stick to what my future self actually wants me to do and enables me to get things done. But there is definitely a downside to my love of planning, and that is I find that when I'm struggling to do something because it's hard or it's difficult or it's uncomfortable or I feel like I'm gonna fail, I will turn to planning to feel like I'm doing something productive. But that is what I then call plancrastination and plancrastinating, because I will avoid doing whatever work it is that I should be doing and instead just start planning. And there are a few signs that I notice when my planning is actually a form of self-sabotage and procrastination. And I thought today I would share those 5 signs with you in case you also love to plan and you're a bit like, have I done enough planning for this, or should I be planning more for this, or am I just planning to procrastinate from doing something? The reason that I think planning is one of the sneakiest forms of procrastination is because it feels really productive. With other forms of procrastination, you know you're procrastinating. If it's like, I'm gonna watch Netflix for 3 hours, you know that, oh, well, that's definitely procrastinating. Even things like cleaning the house, and a lot of people procrastinate, I definitely do as well. With that, you're like, I'm doing something which is productive and good, but it's not in the area of the thing I actually am meant to be working on. With planning, it feels productive and it is in the area of what you're meant to be working on. It's just not actually what you're meant to be working on. So that's why I think it's actually really difficult to tell when planning becomes procrastination. So let's get to it. These are the 5 signs that I find I recognize when I am plancrastinating, yes. The first thing is, when I am plancrastinating, I tend to keep changing the method of my planning. So if I've set out a plan to do something, and that could be, for example, to make a YouTube video, I will make quite a detailed plan and I will put it all into my time block calendar. You know where she's going with that. Video on time blocking above. Couldn't recommend enough. But when I'm making, say, a YouTube video, I will do quite a detailed plan about what I want the video to be about. I will put in some points that I want to speak about, and then I will go off and do some research, and all of these things will be put into my calendar. Now, if I am plancrastinating, oh, I just pulled my hair. If I am plancrastinating, then I will tend to be like, oh, maybe I need a new method of how to organize my notes for my YouTube. So maybe I'll just download a new app, and this will help me in the future because it'll be a really great way to organize all of my notes. And this is definitely a sign for me that I am procrastinating, because I've already essentially got all of my plan in place to make the video, and I've got tried and tested sort of methods already in there. Like, I use Notion for all of my notes, or I use my notebook, I just write things down. And if I am being swayed by fancy new apps and start Googling all of these new apps, and I'm like, yes, that might work, that might be the one for me, when I'm actually meant to be doing the work, it's plancrastination. It is plancrastination. At uni, I used to do this all the time, especially in undergraduate. I would find that when I found work super difficult, or I was revising a topic which I didn't really get, I would just go to a stationery shop and go and just buy a new planner, buy new highlighters, buy a new notebook, because I thought those things were what I needed to do the work. Those things are not what I needed. What I actually just needed to do was to sit down and do the work. So for this type of plancrastination, what I would say is, they're really to plan doing any type of work. The methods can be pretty simple. I would say for me, what I like to do is a to-do list. So I decide essentially what I'm doing and I write a list underneath that of all the things that need to be done within that bit of work. Then what I do next to them is write how long each one is going to take. And then from there, put it into my calendar as a time block and then do the work. And there is none of this, I'm just gonna go to Tesco and buy another packet of pastel highlighters, because that's what I really need actually to get this video done. It's not what I need. So if you find you keep switching between methods while you're in the middle of a project and it seems to be a trend that you just try new apps and then you realise they're not the right one, you abandon them and try something else, that is a sign of plancrastination for sure. The next thing I noticed when my planning is actually hindering me from getting things done is when I spend more time planning than actually doing. And I would sometimes spend hours each week planning in detail like what I wanted to do. And when I felt uncomfortable, I would be like, do you know what? I'm just gonna plan some more. Let's get some more details in here. Let's get the time block calendar open and let's really rejig this and check everything's right. And I wanna add more details to that block there because yeah, I will go to that space when I feel like I don't actually wanna do the work. I will just plan more and plan in more detail. So if you spend lots of time like lining things up and trying to make sure everything's perfect and it's just taking hours and hours of your time, that could be a sign that you're plancrastinating. So now what I do is I give myself 1 hour only on the weekend where I sit and plan my week and whatever content I'm gonna make that week or whatever things I'm gonna do for exercise, for work, I sit for that hour and I decide there and then. And I actually now, I'd be really strict with myself and just say, Julia, it's 1 week of your life and you've made the plan, you'll stick to it. And if the plan didn't work or you didn't like the plan, you can change it next weekend. It's just 1 week. I think sometimes when I get into a plan, I misjudge the discomfort I feel because I'm trying to work on something that's difficult as the plan isn't working. And then I start to change the plan when I haven't really given the plan a chance. So give the plan a chance, 1 hour on the weekend, block it off, put some nice music on, nice cup of coffee or tea or whatever you drink, sit and do your planning for that 1 hour and then put the plan into practice. Don't change it halfway through the week. Change it the next weekend when you have your next planning session. Now I've touched on this already, but yeah, the next thing that I notice when I am planning too much is that I start to plan when I feel uncomfortable. And this is something that I always do when I am doing a piece of work that is really tricky and really difficult. I will all of a sudden be back at the drawing board and be like, what this needs is just more detail and more planning. And that is definitely a sign that you're using planning as a procrastination tool. It is pretty much exactly the same as going to watch Netflix or scrolling on your phone or cleaning. If you feel that sense of discomfort arise and you go to plan, what you're doing is teaching your brain to form a habit of when discomfort arises, I will just go and plan, and that forms a habit. It becomes a habit to plan when you feel uncomfortable. And what we really need to do in this situation when we feel that, oh, like I don't know what I'm doing, I just want to reach out for something and do anything else other than this, is sit in it. And I know that's the worst bit of advice and probably the advice you never want to hear, but just to sit in that discomfort and let it pass. I spoke about this in one of my videos recently and now I can't remember which one. It was about managing distraction. Spoke about it in my managing distraction video, to let the tide of discomfort pass, surf the edge of discomfort. And that's what we need to do instead of just going to the planner and starting to plan. So when you feel uncomfortable, I know it's hard, I know it's really, but it really is just the case that you need to sit through it, weather that little bit of discomfort, get over that hump, and then you will feel much better and just be able to keep going with your work. Don't turn to the planner. I know I am procrastinating when I idea hop. Idea hopping is something I do a lot, especially when I'm in the weeds of a project and I feel like I'm making no progress. With every project, I like to think of projects as going on a really long run. Okay, so when you go on a really long run, you set out and you feel energized and you're like, yes, I'm running, I'm moving, this feels great. And then you hit a wall, and the wall is normally not even physical, it's normally a mental wall, and your brain is telling you like, I can't run, I can't do this, I need to stop, we're tired, this is too much, my knee hurts, etc. And there are genuine times where those complaints are true. But I'd say for me, 90% of the time when I'm running, that conversation happens and I just have to push through it and keep going, stick to the route, keep running until I complete whatever distance I'm doing. Projects are no different. Creative projects, PhD projects, they are no different. You start off with all the motivation and this real sense of, yes, this is amazing. Then you hit this wall of, oh my goodness, this is terrible. I need to stop. I'm making no progress. What's the point? It happens, honestly, like I can't tell you enough. Every single video I make, every single piece of content I make, that happens. It's never just an easy, straightforward process. And what can sometimes happen is in that bit of time where you are having to really push forward and push through that resistance of giving up the project, which is what your brain's sort of telling you to do, I tend to idea hop, and my brain will come up with a new idea, a sparklier idea, a much better idea than the one I'm working on now, and we should drop this one and go to the new idea, because the new idea is where the energy should be invested. And whenever I've given into this urge, what just tends to happen is the exact same thing. I will start on the new idea, it feels great, I hit the wall, I should stop this idea, a new one comes up, I'll jump to that one. And it just, honestly, you just end up going around in loops of having all of these projects which have been half started, and then you feel a bit of shame about the half started and not really finished, so you don't really want to go back to them, and you just never learn to push through and complete something and learn that the resistance is actually just part of the process. And so for me now, I recognize in my head when ideas crop up, I'm like, that is me trying to like plancrastinate and go over and plan a new idea instead of focusing on the one that I've set myself. So now what I do is I have a tab in my virtual notebook just called ideas, and when I get a new idea I just write it down there and then shut it and then leave it. And then when I go to my planning session on a Sunday, that 1 hour planning session, I'll open my ideas tab, and if any of them jump out to me, then I can take them on to the next week. And it's funny because when you have a new idea, it feels like, oh my God, this is incredible, this is exactly what I want to do, and you write it down, and sometimes you go back to it and you're like, oh yeah, it's a good idea, it's good, but I mean, it's not worth stopping everything else to do. And I think it is just that like shiny object syndrome, that we want to do something which is new and great, and we always want to feel amazing. You don't always feel amazing when you're pursuing a hard task. So yes, if you tend to idea hop, just get yourself a place, even a notebook or a document on your computer, where you can log the ideas, and in your planning session you can go to them and pick which one you want to do next. But don't drop the project you're on. I'd say 9 times out of 10, don't drop the project you're on. There is the odd occasion where if things just really, if they feel really bad, like you're just hating it, you're actually hating it, then maybe you might want to rethink a little bit about what you're doing. But I'd say most of the time it is just discomfort, and it's that treading into the unknown, and you're having to really convince yourself that what you're doing is worthwhile, whilst internally you're being told this is a waste of time. And the last thing that I notice if I have been plancrastinating a lot is if I look back and I've not put anything out there, I've not really done anything, and it's been months and I haven't really had any outputs. Yes, that is a sign to me that essentially busy work. Like if I feel like the past few months I've been doing so much, and I look back and I'm like, oh, I've actually like not posted a single thing, or the posts I'm making aren't exactly what I want to be making, because with the projects I actually want to be doing, I keep giving up on them, or I'm just planning them and thinking I need more detail, this isn't finished, so they never end up being made or finished or created. And I think that is a real problem with science projects in particular, PhD, science communication. There is always going to be more details, there is always going to be another paper you can read, and there has to be a point where you draw the line. I always think, like, ask yourself, do you feel comfortable? Do you understand the topic that you're trying to communicate? And if you feel comfortable, I think you're good to go. There's always going to be someone out there who knows more than you on a topic. That's why we have experts in certain things, even though I hate the word expert, but we have people who will study something their entire life and they will just know more than you, and it's okay. Like, it's cool. You're not claiming to know everything when you put a piece of work out into the world. What you're actually doing is just helping other people to learn about that subject. And it's the same if you're writing a PhD. I've got like 300 plus references in my lit review, and there is still probably hundreds more I could put in there, but there just comes a point where you have to stop and think, do you want to be writing your lit review for 2 years? No, you want to finish your thesis, submit it, and move on. And yeah, so if you look back and there haven't been that many outputs of your work, even though you feel like you've been working really hard, you might be overly planning and feeling like, I just need to read that one more paper or read that other paper. And yeah, I just feel like that is something that I tend to do a lot, and I'm almost waiting for permission for someone else to say, that's enough, you've got enough there. But when you're doing an independent project, that has to come from you, and you have to set the boundary, and you have to decide what that boundary is. And for me, it literally is just, I take a minute and go, okay, you've spent 10 hours reading about this subject. Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel like you understand what it's about? Yeah, okay, I feel comfortable with that. Then you're good to make the video, write the blog post, write the paper, whatever it is. When you feel you're comfortable, and think about the audience you're trying to get that information out to. If you feel like you can pitch it to that level and you know enough detail to be confident speaking about it, you're good. So that's it from me today. I hope this video has been helpful for you, and if you love planning like I do, it's not saying don't love planning. Like, I still love my planning, but I just feel like, because planning feels productive, it can be so easy to procrastinate and just sink hours and hours and hours into planning and then never actually get the work done that you want to get done, and you live in this perpetual cycle of just planning new ideas and never really doing anything with them. So I just think, go for it. There just has to be some self-trust there and confidence in yourself that you can deliver on the thing that you want to do, and it will bring you closer to the goals that you have. If you like this video, then feel free to subscribe to the channel, and if you want to learn more about your wonderful brain or about any tips like these in the video, then you can also subscribe to the channel, or you can catch me over on social media. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!